As far as the bin Laden thing goes, all I can tell you is this. This lawsuit that has been filed where they want to see the photos, if the Obama administration was interested in settling this, they could simply say, we're going to designate 2 or 3 well-respected individuals who will be brought in confidence and allowed to look at the photos, including a few people who are experts at identifying people, and we'll let them see the photos. Because their whole point is, we don't want to release them publicly because it'll cause unrest in certain parts of the world. Well, obviously, if they showed it privately to certain truth actors in this thing, we'd settle the whole thing, but that doesn't seem to be an option, and that troubles me. It means that they really just don't want anybody to see those photos. We're aware of the work done by them and other groups. What they have put out. So I don't know exactly what we would necessarily do. I and my colleagues are not experts in the construction of buildings, so unless we can figure out some new sources or some new avenue there, I don't know what we would add. But we are certainly willing to do reporting wherever we see an opportunity, and the example of that would be our recent piece on Who, What, Why about the Saudi family in Sarasota. A lot of the stuff on the internet is false. And a lot of it is it's not necessarily even put up there because people mean it to be false, but because they're not careful and they don't know. And there's just a tremendous amount of stuff in that case. For example, as far as I know, one of the brothers of George Bush was on the board of a company that provided security services to the World Trade Center some years before the attacks, but they were no longer doing that for a while, a year or two during that period. That's quite different than saying that he was in charge of security. And it's just very important to be precise for credibility and for the public good. Well, just very briefly, there are 2 things about those commissions. Number one, they never, ever get to the bottom of anything.
Right.
And all the commissions in the history of this country, and has any one of them ever resolved anything? Their purpose is not to get to the bottom of things. Their purpose is to settle things in the mind of the public and to allow us to move on. If you remember in the 2000 election, even the New York Times started saying, this is going on too long, just give it to Bush, let's move on. And that's an attitude in the sort of prevailing classes of this country. They don't want chaos and they don't want to standstill everybody back to work. So I have limited faith in these commissions. There are some good people who are on them and they try to do what they can. Even the people who are on the 9/11 Commission say they believe they were lied to and that things were withheld from them. So we've got a big problem, and I think those people, to some extent, even some of the people in the power structure, are very sympathetic to the kinds of work that we're trying to do. I agree, local is very, very important, but I think it's also important to recognize that we share a great deal in common with people just like us halfway across the world, and that we're all being oppressed. You see, this is the thing, we're all being oppressed by power centers that keep it all for themselves. It's no different in China, it's no different in Saudi Arabia, it's no different in any of those places. And I think people in other countries understand that much better than we seem to in this country. We are probably the most propagandized people on earth.